Okay, hi. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. My name is Valls-Reed and I'm a first year undergraduate in computer science at the University of Southampton. And today I'm going to be talking about speech modifications for improved listening experience in ADHD adults. So ADHD affects many people's lives in different ways. The prevalence of ADHD in adults is estimated at 3 to 4%. However, the prevalence could be as high as 5.9 to 7.1% in children and 2 to 8% in university students. The symptoms of ADHD, such as difficulty listening and retaining information, can lead to unemployment and increased chances of dropping out. When they are employed, people with ADHD are 6 times more likely to be in unskilled occupations compared to professional occupations. Speech modifications can improve these people's lives and reduce the stigma surrounding ADHD. I'm going to play a short clip of this video to introduce you to some of the issues people with ADHD face.
I asked people with ADHD one question. What do you want the world to know about your ADHD?
This is what I want you to know about my ADHD. It takes me a lot of hard work to get my work turned in on time. I'm very smart, but my grades drop sometimes.
If I could actually sit down and start my homework, I would. But many days I just can't, and struggling with something so seemingly simple tends to make me feel very frustrated or even stupid.
I want the world to know that there are people like me out there who get good grades, rarely get in trouble, and yet can and do have ADHD and struggle with the symptoms that come along with it.
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it isn't there.
My ADHD affects every aspect of my life, from sleep to school to work, all of my relationships, and I have to tailor my entire life around having it.
That doesn't always look the same. I was only diagnosed at 25 because I've been attending type.
I'm basically hyperactive. I was diagnosed at the age of 7.
I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until I was 38, so I thought you need to be hyperactive to have it.
I've filmed this video too many times now, and I can't get it right, and it's really stressing me out now.
I try really hard, and it hurts when people act like I'm not trying as hard as I am.
But the worst part is when my symptoms aren't taken as symptoms, they're taken as behaviors. They're intentionally to upset someone or consider that I don't care, and that's never been the case.
Whenever you think that I intentionally try to hurt you, I didn't. I probably just screwed up.
I'm at least as frustrated as you, and probably even more.
Alright, so how can speech modifications help? They could help hold listener attention and minimize distraction. They could help increase listener comprehension and information retention. They could help to accommodate listeners who struggle with quiet environments, and they could help increase concentration. On top of this, built-in interaction points may even help with focus. So imagine a customizable speech synthesis filter for online videos. So, today I'm going to talk to you through the background of speech modification and synthesis, the motivation and necessity of our work, the methodology and evaluation, and finally the discussion points. Currently, most digital content is designed for neurotypical listeners. Recently, there has been a call to address how speech modifications and resynthesis can affect listening effort. Prior work has also developed fast speech screen readers for the blind. Speech synthesis is and has been used for improved accessibility. Neurodivergent people, who are people whose brains work or develop differently, should also be considered in speech synthesis and other speech-related studies to help improve accessibility for this community. In recent years, there has been a growth in research into clear speech as well as more studies into ADHD, which has led to the use of sound in the diagnostic process. Unfortunately, relatively little is known about why clear speech benefits ADHD individuals, as there has been more focus on the overall benefits of clear speech and how people with ADHD process audio differently. Similar work to the one I propose has been done for people with dyslexia and CAPD, also known as central auditory processing disorder. However, ADHD is yet to be researched. Thus, there is a clear gap in research surrounding clear speech for individuals with ADHD. Our research aims to discover if speech can be modified to be more ADHD friendly, and if so, which features should be modified. Also, importantly, how do we evaluate if speech modifications are helpful? Using clear speech as a starting point, we propose to modify 3 features in the signal for intelligibility evaluation with assessments for cognitive loading. In neurotypical listeners, increased intelligibility from clear speech is due to a variety of different features on the production side from the speaker, as well as interplay of intelligibility and cognitive effort on the side of the listener. As an initial first step to explore these issues for ADHD listeners, we propose to look at the following acoustic features and may add additional phonetic features at a later stage. So firstly, speaking rate. Previous work has shown mixed results as to how speaking rate correlates with increased intelligibility and decreased listening effort. However, they do not specifically account for ADHD listeners. Secondly, raised F0. Research in the music domain has shown that people with ADHD have better concentration when listening to sound with certain tones in a higher pitch, specifically with increased energy in the 1000 to 3000 Hz range. And finally, second and third vowel formants. Formants are the several prominent bands of frequency that determine the phonetic quality of a vowel. Formants, higher spectral prominence in the second and third vowel formants correlates with increased intelligibility in clear speech. So, the speech materials we plan to use are based on the nonsense sentences described in Picheny et al. 1985. The purpose of these sentences is to provide no context to force the listeners to focus on word identification. All of the sentences will follow the format of article, noun, verb, article, noun, parenthesis denoting the parts of the sentences which are optional. For example, a light oven should pivot the beam. We will record 300 of these nonsense sentences spoken by one or more talkers and then split them into 20 lists of 15 utterances. We propose to assess 30 ADHD listener participants and have a control group of 30 non-ADHD participants. The participants will all be aged 18 plus to focus on the effects of ADHD in adults. ADHD in adults is very different from ADHD in children, and thus the features which affect intelligibility and listening effort may vary. Future research should be done focusing on children with ADHD. This will lead to added personalization. Participants will be required to have an ADHD diagnosis to ensure consistency. We will also use this to analyze if there are differences between the 3 types of ADHD. Finally, participants will be required to not be taking any regulatory ADHD medicine, as it will be difficult to account for the varying effects of these. We propose to record the participants repeating the sentences one at a time, and we would then analyze the utterances recorded and determine the percentages of keywords correct intelligibility scores by referencing the list of the sentences the participants spoke. Additionally, we will assess the listening effort with pupillometry. Pupillometry is the measurement of pupil size and reactivity. The speech will be presented via headphones in an isolated room at a fixed volume. Each participant listens to one of the control lists, 15 nonsense sentences spoken in conversation speech, and one modified list for each feature, ensuring all lists are different so no participant listens to the same sentence twice. After each sentence, listeners would have to repeat the sentence they heard back into a microphone to be recorded or select keywords they have heard from the matrix. How to evaluate the benefits of modified speech for ADHD listeners is an open question. We plan to draw from prior work and will evaluate the benefits using the following: intelligibility, listening comprehension, cognitive loading through pupillometry, and a questionnaire probing feelings of frustration. There is, of course, potential for variation across individuals, hence we will consider the aspects of personalization. So, the significance of tailoring speech for individuals with ADHD cannot be emphasized enough. In a growing digital age, the challenges individuals with ADHD face when they engage with online media is becoming increasingly common. Despite this, ADHD listeners are being underrepresented in research. Both intelligibility and listening effort are not well understood for ADHD listeners. By developing ADHD-friendly speech synthesis, we have the potential to transform the way these individuals interact with digital media, providing them with the greater accessibility in these experiences that they deserve. Our work in progress also highlights the broader importance of considering diverse neurocognitive profiles in the design of future assistive technologies. We are open to collaboration and to hearing new thoughts and ideas to help develop the work. Thank you for listening.